Hi, this is Jason T. Ingram coming to you from my little house in Milwaukee, Oregon. Some people might remember me better as Fake Zappa or currently Fake Flanders. I dressed up as Ned Flanders and as one of my street art projects a month ago. And it actually was pretty successful. I haven't done much with the material yet. So right now, as far as my business and my mental health is going, it's severely fucked up. More than I expected it to be. And so I'm pretty upset about the way things have been going lately, but I'm still going. I haven't given up on it, you know. I'm still basically like, okay, these are the tasks I can't do, and if I have to do them, I've found ways to kind of force myself to do things. So yesterday, I got almost done with writing a business plan, which I hadn't even really started on. I had something I came up with last year, and it was just not even presentable because my approach to my business has been, and I was honest about this too, it was more like a guilt trip, because it seems like disabled people, they can talk to certain people and just to say, this is how much I'm suffering, I can't get help, can you help me? And it seems like every now and again there's an organization or an individual that has the resources or the place of influence to make that real for somebody. And that hasn't happened to me yet. So a lot of times I'm relying on luck, and I don't like to rely on luck because you never know what's going to happen. And I was really lucky with hiring a contractor to do some graphic arts and stuff, which has been really cool. And I got a couple guys that have been training for my band. And so that was very fortunate because, you know, I had a miserable thing that happened, about a month ago, and it really set me back emotionally and mentally. I was just still pretty paralyzed by it, but not anything like, I call it my super crisis. What happened earlier this year, because it was a mix of, you know, a midlife crisis, you know, the stress of starting a business, all the rejection I was getting, you know, and we're going through these political and environmental crises. I think that's the word. I always call it crisises because that's one of my things. I'm not good at talking, but I talk a lot, and it's just a really bad combination when you're around educated people, which I tend to find myself around in this community, and it's hard because it's close to my birthday, and I'm still not talking to my family very much, and that's hard because I miss them, I love them, and I feel bad, and at the same time, I'm not ready yet, and I have to be honest with myself and true to myself about that. So, self-care, doing a lot of music therapy. I got Netflix, so I was binge watching some shows last weekend because I took like almost 3 sleepy days in a row. So a self-care day is when I am like, I just can't function at all, and I have to take one of these at least once a week. And so I'm starting to log my work hours, which has been really cool. So I'm going to show you a little peeker at my mood chart. And I started adding some more stuff to it as well. And I started putting, along with my panic attacks, I'm putting my work hours on there. And I'm also putting some bad habits on there as well that I want to work on. And so I thought, instead of trying to do this kind of New Year's resolution type thing that a lot of people do when they have bad habits, I decided just to mark them down to see how bad the problem is, to see if it's contributing to anything that makes it really worth changing. And then I acclimate. And so, because, you know, this cold turkey thing works for some people, and it works for emergencies. If somebody is in a situation where their habit is literally killing them, then yeah, cold turkey is what you need to do unless it's medically supervised. And so, seeing my work hours is kind of sad because it's, you know, 2 hours here, 3 hours here, maybe 4 or 5, and then, you know, 3 or 4 days without any work at all. And right now my to-do list is getting way bigger than my outbox, so to speak. My inbox is huge, and it's some really, really challenging stuff. And stuff I wish I got help with, and me thinking, oh, I'm alone and I can't do this, and, and at the same time, you know, little by little I'm doing it. So, and today's one of those things that's hard. I thought I'd do another garage sale here, which is funny because this is my second day and I haven't sold anything, and that's not that's not the issue. It's the issue that nobody's even come by here, because I decided, you know, I don't have a lot of stuff, and I'm going to list this stuff online. I thought I'd have it out here, and I just, every time I post signs around on busy streets, it doesn't seem to make much of an effect anyways. But now I know that it, you know, might have made a little bit of a difference if I put a couple of signs out there on a few of the busy streets. But this neighborhood's just, I guess there's too much crime or something. People just don't want to come and buy stuff around here. But it's hard, because I have a lot of very sentimental things, too. One of these shirts I bought in Russia, and I'm thinking about Russia a lot, and I kind of miss it. And I was doing Google Maps this morning, going to Russia, and this is an old shirt that was very comfy cozy. It's too small. This one here I've had since 1995. Christmas of 95, this sweater. And it was one of my comfy ones I wore in Alaska almost every day, all winter long. And here's a shirt that's brand new. I haven't even worn it yet. I get so many of these as gifts. This one here I got 20 years ago, and this is one I asked for specifically, and I got it I think for Christmas of 96, and I wore this a lot, especially through straight camp. You can see there's some burn marks where I actually got into, so I was scanning boxes and things when I worked in warehouses and factories, and it'd get really cold, but I needed to get my arms free, so I wear this vest all the time. So some of these things are really hard to get rid of, because every time I look at this, I can't get rid of this. I have so many sentiments about this, or I've hardly worn this thing, or this is such a nice sweater, you know, but I just don't like nice clothes. If somebody wants to give me clothes, why don't they look on my Facebook and see what kind of stuff I wear? This one I love, but it doesn't have zipper pockets. And this is a funny thing, because I used to wear this when I was a born-again Christian, and it zippers on the other side. So I would tell people, I'm wearing women's clothing, because it zips on the other side, like most women's clothes do for some weird reason. And some of these are ones that I got from Tom. This one's really hard. We got this for a Halloween costume in 2006 when my first partner and I dressed up as hillbillies, and I never stopped loving the guy, and he disappeared, which is hard because he's got pancreatic cancer and it's grieving me, and I can't get through to him. Haven't heard back for a month. I even checked the obituaries this morning. I am so grieving over this. And then I started dating somebody. That hasn't happened in like 2 years, and so I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. It's very intense. I mean, this is a very intense thing that's going on with me and this man that I met a couple weeks ago. And I'm happy, and I'm also like, wow, should I be doing this? So, with all this stuff going on, it's really amazing to try to keep my head above water, so to speak. It does. When somebody deals with a lot of mental, emotional, and health problems, it's just enough to just keep the dishes done. And here I am hiring employees and running a small business, and nobody's calling me to do business with me. And instead of rejection, I get ignored. And now I'm starting to go, I can't be ignored anymore. The more I get ignored by people, the louder I get. And I think it's an allergy. I think I'm allergic to being ignored. It's one thing to be ignored. Nobody likes it. it's very typical for people that are not in a place of influence and power. And it's just something, you know, a lot of us have to deal with if we have been, I don't know what they say, marginalized from society, whatever it is. But when somebody's suffering and they get rejected by people who know that there's suffering involved, that's what makes it tedious. That's what makes it hurt a lot. And so having to deal with that on a daily basis is agonizing. And I don't know how to communicate it to people without hurting them or putting myself at risk. So that's hard. So I'm trying to get rid of this stuff for free. But, you know, one of the reasons I'm doing this sale is I want to put some stuff on Facebook, maybe get a few people over here, and then take the rest to... I don't like going to GoodWill. I actually support the Salvation Army. I do it for a couple reasons. One is that I seem to like to piss off liberals for some reason. So supporting a conservative anti-gay organization for me is not as much as a big deal as supporting GoodWill, which is a corporate giant, and I think they take advantage of disabled people, and I think their CEO and their executives make way too much money for a nonprofit organization. The Salvation Army, they help a lot of people in recovery, but you know, they get the turnaround. They get people like, I think they have 8 to 10% success rate in the Salvation Army recovery program. But still, I shop there. A lot of this shit I'm giving away, I bought at the Sally, whatever you call it, Salvation Army. Some of this stuff has some really negative sentiment from my family. Some of it is really sentimental, like this couch. I've had some good sex on this couch too. It's gonna be tough to get rid of. I admit it was kind of. Oh, there's somebody that stopped. Oh my God, that red car. And now they keep going. So I don't. Oh, I think I've got a customer. So I might have to go here pretty soon. But anyways, I wanted to check in, talk about my mental health, talk about my business, talk about how hard it is, and that I'm still going. And I don't know how long I'm kind of running on fumes right now. I feel like I'm out of fuel. I feel like, you know, sometimes I'm doing this pacing around the house thing lately. And also, you know, my moods have been more of a depressed than a manic thing. And I seem to have these mixed states when I have a severe anxiety thing that I'm dealing with at the same time, a depression. And that can be hard. And I write down the sleep hours I'm getting. And my sleep is like, you know, 5 hours, 6 hours, 11 hours, you know, 8 hours, and then 9. And then I go for, you know, 5 or 6 hours every day, which is exhausting. And then I get a sleep debt. And then I have to, you know, have a whole sleepy day to make up. And then I get so nervous that I don't even sleep that day sometimes. So the less sleep that I get, the harder it is to sleep. Some people aren't like that. But since I started dating somebody, I'm feeling just being touched. Oh my God, I just forgot. Just holding hands and cuddling and touching is just one of the most therapeutic things. And I don't care how much of a mess this guy is. He's not as much as a mess as I am, but he's so cute. He's so lovable. And I'm just kind of like, oh, wow. I don't know where this could go, but I'm enjoying it because it's really hard to find a guy who could get along with me, who's got mutual chemistry and who's available and everything. And, wow. So that was a lucky thing. That was wonderful. I wasn't necessarily looking hard for that. So, anyways, garage sale. Let me check to see if anybody's here. Nope. I think they took one look and didn't see anything right away that they liked, so which is okay. My music therapy today is I found a playlist that's almost 6 hours of Burt Bacharach from like 60s and 70s and maybe a little bit beyond. So thank you, Apple Music, which is an app I don't like, but it's been the best way I can access music on a daily basis and get most of the albums I want to hear. And it's helping me to not watch so much TV and trash that I usually expose myself to. So that's been good. And haven't been around friends a lot lately, but I still have friends that text me throughout the week. It's not a daily thing, which is okay, because they knew when I was, you know, looking for a reason to live. I'm really glad for the people that, you know, just a few of them that did that. So I'm starting to wonder more if part of self-care is reaching out. And folks reaching out to me is definitely amazing. So something I did earlier today, I hadn't talked to anybody all day. It was one of those things where it's like, can I catch up on sleep this morning? And after 3 after 3 hours of trying to get back to sleep and lying around, letting my mind wander, that's when I start going into daydreaming, like chronic daydreaming, to where I start to dissociate. So that was one of the things I know I needed to do to kind of get myself to wake up, besides coffee, which I've had today. And I was just reviewing the other part of my video. Sometimes I just talk until the video runs out, and so I should have another 4 minutes left on here, so hopefully I get to talk more about my self-care. I called the David Romfrey Warm Line. I think that's how you say it. Anyways, that's a nonprofit that is helpful if you can get through to them, but they've been more available lately. So I've actually gotten through to somebody a couple times this month, maybe 3 times. And it's a peer-to-peer service. So I get to talk to folks. A lot of times they live with mood disorders like bipolar and stuff like that. So it's great. These people can relate. I had a good listener on the line. I was difficult and rambling and kind of not focusing, kind of like I am now. But they know that, you know, and they don't get scared of that. They're trained to deal with that, and many of them are like that themselves. So it just feels comfortable, because I just need to be around people that I feel safe with. And it's great though, because, you know, dating somebody, I just feel pretty safe with this guy, which I haven't felt safe around men that I've dated in a long time. So that's it's very healing for me. It's wow. So self-care, I'll show you what I did here in the last hour since I made this video. I don't know why, because it's like sometimes I just seem to put this off until the end of the day. But it's my meditation. So this is the Insight Timer app, and I'm a contributor on it. And so here's the timer part of it, and it gives me a little bing, and then I can... Okay, so what I've been doing, because I had a real hard time with doing silent meditation and mindfulness meditation, I found that doing Qigong and movement really awakens me, gets my energy flowing, and sometimes after doing Qigong, I can get into panic attack really easily, so I gotta be careful. But here is, I think this is the one I did here, the evening exercise. And Lee Holden is kind of my, with a little interlude of Talking Heads from 1980. Lee Holden has been my teacher from afar, and I love his emphasis on energy flowing, and he's just not one of those phony white wannabe Asian guys. So that's why I like his Qigong. That's been helping me a lot. And what else have I... Oh yeah, journaling. I'll show you my new journal. I just started here a couple weeks ago, and I'm already quite a ways into it as well, which is cool. Because earlier this year I couldn't concentrate to write. So today was one of those days I could only get a couple of pages in, because I was having a hard time focusing. Now, as far as, I'm running out of time. So what I wanted to talk about was, and I'm probably going to do a series on this, on cannabis and mental health and being responsible with it and things like that. So anyways, Kiska, say goodbye to my friends. Love you, love you. Alrighty.